Hey everyone. Tonight we were wandering into the golden hush of West Africa, to a city whispered about across medieval maps, a place so dazzling that European scribes could only describe it in reverent uncertainty. This is Timbuktu, heart of Mali's empire, where gold flowed like sunlight caught in human hands, and knowledge glimmered brighter still. Picture the desert at night. The dunes breathe slowly beneath a velvet sky, each ridge shaped by wind that has crossed continents. Stars hang low, shimmering like grains of forgotten treasure. Out in the darkness, a caravan approaches, its camels stepping in soft rhythm, their bells chiming in a dusty lullaby. Lanterns sway gently from saddle hooks, casting amber halos that vanish into the vast, warm silence. Closer now, beyond the curve of the dunes, rises the outline of a city built from earth and starlight. Mud brick towers glow faintly under the moon, and the scent of incense drifts through narrow alleys where scholars murmur over manuscripts older than kingdoms. Pages turn with the soft rustle of dry leaves. The night feels alive with thought. Astronomy, law, poetry, medicine, all carried in voices that ripple through courtyards like quiet rivers. This was a world where wealth didn't shout, it shimmered. Gold dusted the hands of merchants, glowed in the hems of robes, and weighed down the saddlebags of travelers who crossed the Sahara in drifting constellations of camels and stories. But the true treasure lived in libraries where knowledge was copied with patient devotion, ink flowing under lantern light as steady as the desert wind. And in the center of it all stood a man whose footsteps reshaped continents. Mansa Musa, Emperor of Mali, a ruler whose pilgrimage would tilt economies and carve his name across history. Yet beneath all that splendor was a quiet devotion. To faith, to learning, to the steady glow of a prosperous land carried by the rhythm of trade and the wisdom of scholars. So before you settle in, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. If you enjoy these gentle night journeys through time and memory. And tell me, where are you listening from tonight? Maybe outside your window, the air hums with its own ancient warmth, the way the Sahara once hummed under moonlit caravans. Now close your eyes, hear the soft percussion of camel steps, the whisper of parchment, the slow drift of desert wind across glowing dunes. Let's begin the story of Timbuktu, the city that shone brighter than gold, a kingdom of gold and dust. The vast, breathing expanse of the Sahel stretched endlessly, a boundless ocean where sand met sky in a shimmering haze of heat and silence. Here, in this liminal space between the Sahara Desert and the fertile savannas, lay the heart of an empire whose wealth and wisdom would astonish the medieval world. Mali hums under starlight, rich beyond rumor, its power woven into the very fabric of the landscape, a profound testament to ingenious adaptation and unwavering ambition, transforming a harsh environment into a cradle of unparalleled prosperity. Imagine the air, cool and dry after the searing heat of the day, thick with the earthy scent of dry grass, distant river mud, and the subtle tang of human presence. The sounds were no longer the simple rustle of desert winds. They included the soft padding of camel steps, the low murmur of distant conversations, and the rhythmic beat of hand drums echoing faintly from a far-off encampment. Moonlight over ziggurats, or more accurately, the mud brick mosques and structures of the region, gleaming like colossal monuments, illuminated a world fundamentally shaped by trade and enduring tradition. The Sahel, a semi-arid belt stretching across Africa, presented immense challenges yet also offered profound opportunities. Its fertile southern fringes allowed for agriculture, its northern reaches bordered the immense Sahara, a highway for for trans-Saharan trade. The Niger River, a colossal artery of life, flowed through its heart, providing water, fertile land, and a vital conduit for commerce. Listen to the soft, rhythmic padding of countless camel steps, their cushioned feet moving silently across the sand, a constant, pervasive sound that spoke of distant journeys and immense wealth. Hear the low murmur of voices speaking a multitude of languages, Berber, Songhai, Mandinka, discussing trade, alliances, the rhythms of life under the immense sky. See the distant outlines of scattered settlements, their mud brick walls blending with the landscape, tiny beacons of human life under the vast, indifferent heavens. Mali hums under starlight, rich beyond rumour. By the 13th and 14th centuries, the Mali Empire had risen to unparalleled power, controlling vast goldfields in the south and the vital salt mines in the Sahara. Its wealth was legendary, spoken of in distant European capitals and across the Middle East. The sheer abundance of gold flowing from its territories seemed to defy the very aridity of the landscape. The night sky itself was a canvas of profound spiritual and practical significance. Under the immense, unpolluted heavens, the stars shone with an astonishing clarity, guiding not just celestial navigators but shaping cosmologies, linking the earthly realm to the divine. The quiet hum of human activity, muted by the night, seemed to blend with the vast cosmic silence. This was a civilization built on the exploitation of natural resources, on the efficient organization of trade, and on a deep understanding of its environment. Its power, its prosperity, its very identity were inextricably linked to the flow of gold and the movement of caravans across the dunes. Its story, sung in every desert breeze, whispered of immense wealth. Beneath the Sahel moon, a world where sand and sky merge, Mali hums under starlight, rich beyond rumour. It was a slow, velvety journey through gold, sand and starlight, charting the quiet brilliance of Mali's golden age, forever tethered to the rhythmic drumming of camel hooves and the profound endurance of a kingdom built on dust and dreams. The awakened wealth of the Niger bend beyond the shimmering expanse of the Sahel under a starlit sky, where sand and sky merged into a boundless canvas, lay the true wellspring of Mali's astonishing prosperity. The awakened wealth of the Niger Bend was not a sudden discovery, but a slow, profound unveiling. Riverbanks shone with fertile mud, lifting cities where scholars and merchants breathed ancient knowledge, transforming a meandering river into the very artery of civilization, a testament to ingenious adaptation and the profound power of a nurturing landscape. Imagine the air, warm and humid, thick with the earthy scent of rich river silt, mingled with the sweet aroma of ripening grain and the subtle tang of human enterprise. The sounds were no longer the soft padding of camel steps across the dunes. They included the gentle lapping of water against mud brick banks, the cheerful shouts of farmers, the rhythmic splash of fishing nets, and the low murmur of bustling activity. Parchment rustling like dry leaves in sunlit courtyards underscored the intellectual life flourishing amidst the natural bounty. The Niger River, a colossal, life-giving artery, was the geographical and economic heart of the Mali Empire. Unlike the Tigris and Euphrates, whose unpredictable floods could be devastating, the Niger's annual inundation was generally more benign, a predictable cycle that deposited immensely fertile mud along its banks. This rich, black silt, renewed year after year, created agricultural lands of unparalleled productivity in an otherwise semi-arid region. Listen to the gentle lapping of the river water against the mud brick banks, a soothing, consistent sound that spoke of sustenance and predictable abundance. Hear the cheerful shouts of farmers, their bare feet sinking into the soft, fertile mud, planting grains like rice and millet. See the lush green ribbon of vegetation stretching along the river's winding course, a vibrant contrast to the surrounding dry savanna, teeming with life. Riverbanks shine with fertile mud, lifting cities where scholars and merchants breathed ancient knowledge. This fertile strip became the bedrock of Mali's wealth. It allowed for a vast agricultural surplus, feeding a large, dense population and providing goods for trade. This agricultural stability, combined with the river's navigability, facilitated the growth of sophisticated urban centers along its banks, cities that became not just hubs of commerce, but profound centers of learning. Cities like Djenne and Timbuktu rose from this fertile mud, built from the very earth that sustained them. Their mud brick architecture, cool and resilient, spoke of a deep connection to the land. These were not merely towns, they were crucibles where ancient knowledge, carried across the Sahara by Berber scholars, blended with local traditions, fostering intellectual inquiry and sophisticated commerce. Scholars and merchants breathed ancient knowledge. The river provided the physical sustenance, but the intellectual life sustained the spirit. Manuscripts rich with Islamic scholarship flowed into these cities, transforming them into renowned centers of astronomy, mathematics, medicine, law, and theology. Merchants, meanwhile, harnessed the river for trade, transporting gold from the southern forests, salt from the northern mines, and myriad other goods along its winding course, connecting distant regions into a vast economic network. The psychological impact of this natural bounty was immense. It fostered a deep reverence for the river, seen as a divine gift, a constant source of life and prosperity. It allowed for a level of stability and intellectual pursuits that few other regions in Africa could match, transforming a challenging environment into a cradle of unparalleled civilization. Its story, sung in every lapping wave, whispered of abundance. The awakened wealth of the Niger Bend was a profound reality in Mali's golden age, a calm, immersive journey through gold, sand, and starlight, charting the quiet brilliance of an empire built on both the bounty of the river and the profound ingenuity of its people, forever tethered to the rhythmic murmur of current and the enduring wisdom of ancient knowledge. The rise of a golden empire. From the life-giving banks of the Niger River, where fertile mud nurtured burgeoning cities and ancient knowledge flowed, a formidable power began to consolidate its dominion. The rise of a golden empire was not a sudden eruption, but a slow, meticulously woven tapestry of influence and conquest. Kings of Mali wove power through caravans, salt roads, and shimmering ore, transforming strategic resources into immense wealth, establishing a vast, intricate network of trade and governance that reshaped the political and economic landscape of West Africa, and astonished the medieval world with its unparalleled prosperity. Imagine the air, warm and dry, thick with the earthy scent of sand, distant river mud, and the subtle tang of human ambition. The sounds were no longer the gentle lapping of river water. They included the rhythmic padding of countless camel steps, the low murmur of trade negotiations, and the distant, authoritative beat of royal drums. Night skies, shaped like open scripture, illuminated a world fundamentally governed by the flow of precious metals and the relentless march of commerce. The Mali Empire, which emerged in the 13th century, was built upon the foundations of earlier West African kingdoms. Its strategic location, controlling access to the vast goldfields of West Africa, Wangara, Bambouk, Bouré, and the vital salt mines of the Sahara, Tagaza, gave it an unshakable economic base. Its kings of the Keita dynasty were astute rulers, adept at both military conquest and diplomatic engagement. Listen to the rhythmic padding of thousands of camel steps, their cushioned feet moving silently across the vast, undulating dunes, a constant, pervasive sound that spoke of distant journeys and immense wealth. Hear the low murmur of trade negotiations in bustling market towns, the clink of gold dust being weighed, the exchange of goods in a multitude of languages, Berber, Songhai, Mandinka. See the shimmering caravans drifting like constellations across the dunes, laden with precious cargo, their long, winding lines stretching to the horizon. Kings of Mali wove power through caravans, salt roads, and shimmering ore. Gold was the lifeblood of the empire. Mined from the southern forests, it flowed north across the Sahara, traded for salt, a commodity as valuable as gold in West Africa, copper, textiles, and other goods. The Mali emperors meticulously controlled this trade, levying taxes, providing security for caravans and regulating the flow of precious metals. The salt roads were equally vital. Salt, essential for human and animal health and for preserving food, was transported south from the vast crystalline deposits of the Sahara. Its movement created an intricate network of trade, connecting distant regions and solidifying Mali's economic dominance. Shimmering ore extracted from the earth transformed into the very currency of empire. The wealth generated by this controlled trade was immense, allowing the Mali kings to build powerful armies, support vast bureaucracies, patronize scholars and artists, and construct magnificent cities of mud brick. Their influence extended across a vast geographical area, unifying diverse peoples under a single, powerful authority. The psychological impact of this wealth was profound. It fostered a deep sense of pride, a belief in their own power and prosperity, and a reverence for the kings who managed such an immense dominion. The gold, shimmering like captured sunlight, became a symbol of their divine favor, their unparalleled brilliance. Its story, sung in every camel bell, whispered of immense power. The rise of a golden empire was a profound reality. In Mali's golden age, a calm, immersive journey through gold, sand, and starlight, charting the quiet brilliance of an empire built on both the bounty of the river and the profound ingenuity of its people, forever tethered to the rhythmic murmur of caravans and the enduring wisdom of ancient knowledge. A kingdom of unparalleled prosperity. The origins of Timbuktu, from the shimmering heart of Mali's burgeoning golden empire, where kings wove power through caravans and the wealth of the desert flowed, a humble encampment began its quiet, inexorable ascent. The origins of Timbuktu lie not in grand royal decree or military conquest, but in a pragmatic necessity. Founded as a humble encampment, it blossoms into a beacon of learning, transforming a seasonal oasis into a crossroads of culture, commerce, and profound intellectual life, destined to become a legendary city, its mud brick walls holding echoes of its silent, enduring genesis. Imagine the air, warm and dry, thick with the earthy scent of sand, distant river mud, and the subtle tang of human presence, mingling with the faint aroma of nomadic cooking fires. The sounds were no longer the rhythmic padding of countless camel steps alone. They included the gentle lapping of river water, the cheerful shouts of herders, and the low murmur of conversations in a multitude of languages. Night skies, shaped like open scripture, illuminated a world where even a humble watering hole could become a cradle of civilization. Timbuktu's genesis was modest, almost accidental, born from the practical needs of nomadic life along the Niger River. In the 11th century, Tuareg nomads, skilled pastoralists and traders, used the seasonal floodplains of the Niger Bend as a summer grazing ground. When the river receded, they would leave their heavy goods in a safe place, guarded by a trusted female slave. Listen to the low murmur of nomadic voices, speaking Berber, discussing the seasonal migrations, the grazing patterns, the safe storage of their precious goods. Hear the gentle lapping of the river water against its banks, a constant, soothing presence. See the modest cluster of temporary tents and crude shelters, Built from branches and hides, a humble encampment on the edge of the vast, shifting desert. Founded as a humble encampment, it blossoms into a beacon of learning. The specific spot where Timbuktu grew was strategic, a short distance north of the main channel of the Niger, away from its floods, yet close enough for easy access to its water and its trade routes. This made it a perfect seasonal storage depot and watering hole, a natural rendezvous point for riverine traders from the south and Saharan caravaneers from the north. Over time, what began as a temporary encampment gradually became a permanent settlement. The availability of water, its safe distance from floods, and its position as a nexus for trans-Saharan and trans-Sahelian trade attracted more permanent residents, merchants, artisans, and crucially, scholars. The early settlement was modest, its buildings largely simple mud brick structures, but its location held immense promise. As Mali's golden empire rose, controlling vast goldfields and vital salt mines, Timbuktu's strategic importance soared. It became a crucial intermediary point in the trans-Saharan gold-salt trade, accumulating immense wealth. With wealth came the patronage of rulers, particularly Mansa Musa, who invested heavily in its intellectual and religious institutions. The city began to blossom into a beacon of learning, attracting scholars from across the Islamic world. Its mosques, its schools, its libraries became renowned centers of Islamic scholarship, transforming a humble encampment into a vibrant intellectual hub, its mud brick walls holding echoes of ancient knowledge. Its story, sung in every camel bell, whispered of unexpected greatness. The origins of Timbuktu were a profound reality in Mali's golden age, a calm, immersive journey through gold, sand and starlight, charting the quiet brilliance of an empire built on both the bounty of the river and the profound ingenuity of its people, forever tethered to the rhythmic murmur of caravans and the enduring wisdom of ancient knowledge. A forgotten city rising from dust to become a legendary beacon. Caravan Gate of Africa. As Timbuktu slowly blossomed from a humble encampment into a burgeoning center of wealth and learning on the Niger Bend, its strategic location became its defining characteristic, cementing its legendary status across the vast, arid expanse of the Sahara. The Caravan Gate of Africa was a profound daily reality. Thousands of camels arrived like gentle ships carrying ivory, salt, and whispers from distant kingdoms, transforming the desert into a highway of commerce, culture, and information, making Timbuktu the undisputed crossroads of West Africa, humming with the warmth of trade and enduring human enterprise. Imagine the air, warm and dry, thick with the earthy scent of sand, distant river mud, and the subtle tang of human presence, mingling with the rich, complex aromas of exotic spices, dried dates, and vast herds of camels. The sounds were no longer the simple lapping of river water. They included the rhythmic padding of countless camel steps, the jingle of their bells, the cheerful shouts of caravaneers, and the low murmur of bustling marketplaces. Night skies, shaped like open scripture, illuminated a world fundamentally governed by the flow of precious goods and the relentless march of commerce. Timbuktu's unique geography, situated just north of the Niger River at the southern edge of the Sahara, made it an indispensable nexus for trans-Saharan trade. It was the crucial meeting point where riverine trade routes from the south converged with the great caravan routes from the north, linking the gold-rich forests of West Africa to the Mediterranean and beyond. Listen to the rhythmic padding of thousands of camel steps, their cushioned feet moving silently across the vast, undulating dunes, a constant, pervasive sound that spoke of distant journeys and immense wealth. Hear the incessant jingle of countless camel bells announcing the arrival of a new caravan, a melodic counterpoint to the quiet hum of the city. See the vast, shimmering caravans drifting like constellations across the dunes, their long, winding lines stretching to the horizon, a breathtaking spectacle of desert commerce. Thousands of camels arrived like gentle ships carrying ivory, salt, and whispers from distant kingdoms. These immense caravans, often comprising thousands of camels, led by experienced Berber and Tuareg guides, moved slowly, deliberately across the vast, unforgiving Sahara. They were like ships of the desert, navigating by stars and memory, their arrival in Timbuktu a profound event, bringing vital goods and invaluable information. Ivory, sourced from the southern forests, was a precious commodity, destined for the markets of North Africa and Europe. Salt, mined from vast crystalline deposits in the heart of the Sahara, was as valuable as gold in the south, essential for human and animal health and for preserving food. These were the tangible goods, but they also carried whispers from distant kingdoms, news of alliances, of wars, of famines, of political shifts, of new ideas. Timbuktu became a crucial hub for the exchange of information, a nerve center for the political and intellectual life of West Africa, connecting it to the wider Islamic world and, indirectly, to Europe. The psychological impact of this constant flow of trade was immense. It fostered a deep sense of prosperity, a belief in their own wealth and importance, and a reverence for the city that stood as the gateway to such immense riches. The daily arrival of caravans was a profound affirmation of their enduring power and their central role in the global economy. Its story, sung in every camel bell, whispered of immense connection. The caravan gate of Africa was a profound reality in Mali's golden age, a calm, immersive journey through gold, sand and starlight, charting the quiet brilliance of an empire built on both the bounty of the river and the profound ingenuity of its people, forever tethered to the rhythmic murmur of caravans and the enduring wisdom of ancient knowledge. A legendary city transformed into the undisputed crossroads of West Africa. Mansa Musa, Emperor of Light, the coronation of Musa Keita first. As the flourishing city of Timbuktu pulsed, as the vibrant caravan gate of Africa, its wealth flowing like the Niger River, the vast Mali Empire itself stood on the precipice of its golden age. The coronation of Musa Keita was not a mere change of ruler. It was a momentous, sacred transition. A quiet, commanding man inherited the throne and a continent's wealth, transforming a pragmatic succession into a profound declaration of divine right, setting the stage for an era of unprecedented prosperity, intellectual flourishing, and a legend that would echo across continents. Imagine the air, warm and dry, thick with the earthy scent of sand, precious cedarwood, and the subtle tang of human presence, mingling with the rich aroma of burning incense and sacrificial offerings. The sounds were no longer the simple jingle of camel bells. They included the solemn chanting of imams, the rhythmic beat of royal drums, and the hushed murmurs of thousands of gathered subjects. Night skies, shaped like open scripture, illuminated a world fundamentally bound by faith, tradition, and the will of its new monarch. Mansa Musa, born Musa Keita, ascended to the throne of the Mali Empire in 1312 CE. Unlike some rulers who seized power through conquest, Musa's path to the throne was more nuanced. He was the nephew of the previous Mansa, Emperor Abu Bakr II, who reportedly embarked on an audacious, ill-fated voyage across the Atlantic, leaving Musa as his regent. When Abu Bakr II did not return, Musa formally became Mansa. This background, however, did not diminish his authority. Indeed, his quiet ascent underscored a profound, inherent legitimacy. Listen to the solemn chanting of imams and griots, storytellers, in the grand courtyard of the royal palace, their voices echoing through the mud brick walls, recounting the sacred history of the Keita dynasty, affirming Musa's divine right to rule. Hear the rhythmic beat of royal drums, a deep, resonant throb that vibrated through the earth, marking each stage of the coronation ceremony. See the thousands of gathered subjects, their faces etched with a mixture of reverence, awe, and cautious expectation, as Musa, a figure of quiet dignity, took his place on the throne. A quiet, commanding man inherited the throne and a continent's wealth. Musa was known for his calm demeanor, his deep piety, and his astute intellect. He was not a flamboyant warrior, but a judicious ruler, a strategic thinker, and a profound patron of the arts and sciences. He inherited an empire already immensely wealthy, controlling vast goldfields and vital salt mines. But under his rule, this wealth would be managed and displayed in unprecedented ways. His coronation was a blend of ancient Malian traditions and Islamic rituals, reflecting the syncretic nature of the empire. He would have been adorned with royal regalia, a golden headdress, rich robes, perhaps holding the golden scepter of the Mansa, each item a symbol of his temporal and spiritual authority. The ceremony would have affirmed his legitimacy, binding him to his ancestors, to God, and to his people. The wealth he inherited was immense, a continent's wealth. Musa commanded an empire that produced more gold than anywhere else in the world, its precious metal flowing north across the Sahara to Europe and the Middle East, establishing Mali as a major player in the global economy. This vast resource provided him with unparalleled power and influence. Its story, whispered in every royal decree, spoke of destiny. The coronation of Musa Keita. I was a profound reality in Mali's golden age, a calm, immersive journey through gold, sand and starlight, charting the quiet brilliance of Mansa Musa, Emperor of Light, forever tethered to the rhythmic murmur of ancient traditions and the enduring wisdom of a new, commanding king ready to lead his empire to unparalleled glory. The gold that fed empires. Under the quiet, commanding reign of Musa Keita Timbuktu, the Mali Empire pulsed with unprecedented prosperity, its very name becoming synonymous with immense wealth. The gold that fed empires was the undisputed lifeblood of this golden age. Musa commanded mines that glittered like captured sunlight, transforming raw, precious ore into a boundless stream of wealth that fueled his vast dominion, astonishing distant capitals and profoundly reshaping the economic landscape of the medieval world. Imagine the air, warm and dry, thick with the earthy scent of sand, distant river mud, and the subtle tang of human presence, mingling with the heavy, rich aroma of unearthed gold. The sounds were no longer the solemn chanting of imams. They included the rhythmic clang of picks against rock, the murmur of thousands of laborers, and the soft chime of newly weighed gold dust. Night skies, shaped like open scripture, illuminated a world fundamentally governed by the flow of precious metals. The Mali Empire's wealth was built upon vast, rich gold fields located in the southern forests of West Africa, regions like Bambouk, Bure, and Galam. Unlike gold found in other parts of the world, much of Mali's gold was alluvial, meaning it was found in riverbeds or in shallow deposits, making it relatively accessible through traditional mining and panning techniques. Listen to the rhythmic clang of picks against rock, the scrape of shovels, the low murmur of thousands of laborers toiling tirelessly under the scorching sun in the deep, narrow mine shaft. Hear the soft swish of water as prospectors panned for gold dust in riverbeds, their movements precise, their hopes high. See the glistening flakes, the small nuggets, shimmering like captured sunlight in their hands, the raw form of the empire's immense wealth. Musa commanded mines that glittered like captured sunlight. The Mansa of Mali meticulously controlled these gold mines, ensuring a steady, immense flow of precious metal. While the actual mining was often done by local communities who then paid a portion to the empire, the Mansa held ultimate authority, regulating production, levying taxes, and providing security for the mining operations. This gold was not simply hoarded, it was strategically managed. It flowed north across the Sahara Desert via vast camel caravans, traded for essential commodities like salt, a precious preservative, copper, textiles and other goods from North Africa and beyond. Its destination was the markets of Europe and the Middle East, where it became the very currency that fueled distant empires, supporting their economies, funding their armies, and enriching their rulers. The sheer volume of Malian gold was astonishing. Mansa Musa's legendary pilgrimage to Mecca, the Hajj, would famously demonstrate this wealth, destabilizing the economy of Cairo with the immense quantities of gold he distributed. This was gold on an unprecedented scale, transforming Mali into a major economic power in the medieval world. The psychological impact of this wealth was profound. It fostered a deep sense of pride, a belief in their own power and prosperity, and a reverence for the kings who managed such an immense dominion. The gold, shimmering like captured sunlight, became a symbol of their divine favor, their unparalleled brilliance underpinning their social and political structures. Its story, whispered in every glittering nugget, spoke of immense prosperity. The gold that fed empires was a profound reality in Mali's golden age, a calm, immersive journey through gold, sand and starlight, charting the quiet brilliance of Mansa Musa, Emperor of Light, forever tethered to the rhythmic murmur of ancient traditions and the enduring wisdom of a king who commanded wealth beyond measure, enriching his empire and astonishing the medieval world. Libraries at the edge of the desert. Beyond the glittering gold mines and the endless flow of wealth that fueled the Mali Empire, Mansa Musa harbored an ambition more profound than mere riches. He envisioned a legacy not just of material prosperity, but of enduring knowledge. Libraries at the edge of the desert were his silent, magnificent dream. He dreams not only of riches, but of knowledge vast enough to outshine gold, transforming desert outposts into vibrant intellectual centers, a testament to his profound vision and unwavering commitment to scholarship, ensuring the light of learning burned brightly in the heart of Africa. Imagine the air, warm and dry, thick with the earthy scent of sand, precious cedarwood, and the subtle tang of human presence, mingling with the rich aroma of old parchment and burning oil lamps. The sounds were no longer the rhythmic clang of picks in gold mines. They included the hushed murmur of scholars, the soft rustle of turning pages, and the rhythmic scratch of quills. Night skies, shaped like open scripture, illuminated a world where the pursuit of wisdom was revered above all. Mansa Musa, a devout Muslim, understood the profound value of education and scholarship within Islamic civilization. He saw knowledge as a source of power, prestige, and spiritual enrichment, equal to, if not surpassing, the transient gleam of gold. His reign marked a deliberate, concerted effort to transform Mali's cities, particularly Timbuktu, into renowned centers of Islamic learning. Listen to the hushed murmur of scholars, their voices low and intense, debating points of law, philosophy, and theology in dimly lit courtyards. Hear the rhythmic scratch of countless quills on precious parchment, as scribes meticulously copied ancient texts, preserving the wisdom of generations. See the vast shelves meticulously organized, laden with thousands of manuscripts, their bindings rich leather, their pages filled with the intricate beauty of Arabic script. He dreams not only of riches, but of knowledge vast enough to outshine gold. Musa dedicated a significant portion of his immense wealth to this vision. He commissioned the construction of magnificent mosques and madrasas, Islamic schools or universities, in Timbuktu, Djenne, and Gao. He endowed these institutions with lavish funds, ensuring they had the resources to attract the finest scholars and to acquire invaluable manuscripts from across the Islamic world. He personally brought back scholars, architects, and jurists from his pilgrimage to Mecca, further enriching the intellectual life of his empire. Timbuktu, in particular, blossomed into a vibrant hub, its Sankore University becoming a renowned center for Islamic studies, attracting students and teachers from across Africa and beyond. These libraries, filled with thousands of texts on astronomy, mathematics, medicine, law, history, and theology, became intellectual arsenals at the very edge of the vast Sahara. They were bastions of learning, preserving, and transmitting knowledge at a time when much of Europe was still emerging from its dark ages. The psychological impact of this intellectual flourishing was immense. It fostered a deep sense of pride, a belief in their own cultural sophistication, and a profound reverence for knowledge. It demonstrated that Mali's greatness was not just material, but intellectual and spiritual, a testament to Musa's enlightened leadership. Its story, whispered in every turning page, spoke of profound wisdom. Libraries at the edge of the desert were a profound reality in Mali's golden age, a calm, immersive journey through gold, sand, and starlight, charting the quiet brilliance of Mansa Musa, Emperor of Light, forever tethered to the rhythmic murmur of ancient traditions and the enduring wisdom of a king who commanded knowledge, transforming his empire into a beacon of intellectual light, a king who walked with scholars. Beyond his astonishing wealth and his vision for libraries in the desert, Mansa Musa embodied a unique, profound quality that set him apart from many rulers of his age. A king who walked with scholars was a living testament to his enlightened spirit. Musa surrounded himself with thinkers, poets, jurists, minds sharp as desert wind, transforming imperial power into a profound patronage of intellect, enriching his court with wisdom, philosophy, and jurisprudence, and ensuring the light of knowledge illuminated every corner of his golden empire. Imagine the air, warm and dry, thick with the earthy scent of sand, precious cedarwood, and the subtle tang of human presence, mingling with the rich aroma of old parchment and the intellectual fervor of scholarly debate. The sounds were no longer the solemn chanting of imams. They included the hushed murmur of intense discussions, the rhythmic scratch of quills, and the low, melodic cadence of poetry recitation. Night skies, shaped like open scripture, illuminated a world where the pursuit of wisdom was revered above all else. Mansa Musa understood that true imperial greatness encompassed more than just military might and material wealth. It required intellectual depth, legal wisdom, and spiritual guidance. He actively sought out and welcomed scholars, architects, poets, and jurists from across the Islamic world, inviting them to his court in Niani and to the burgeoning intellectual centers of Timbuktu and Djenne. Listen to the low, intense murmur of thinkers, their voices engaged in fervent debate, discussing points of Islamic law, philosophical texts, astronomical observations, or medical theories in the cool courtyards of the royal palace. Hear the rhythmic scratch of countless quills on precious parchment as scribes meticulously copied ancient texts, preserving the wisdom of generations. See Musa himself, a figure of quiet dignity, sitting among them, listening intently, participating in discussions, demonstrating a profound respect for intellectual pursuits. Musa surrounds himself with thinkers, poets, jurists, minds sharp as desert wind. These scholars were not mere adornments to his court. They were active participants in its governance and its cultural life. Jurists advised on legal matters, ensuring justice was administered according to Islamic principles. Astronomers advised on calendar keeping and celestial navigation. Poets composed odes that celebrated the empire's glory and spiritual devotion. Their minds, sharp as the desert wind, cut through ignorance, illuminated complex ideas, and enriched the intellectual tapestry of Mali. He endowed them with lavish funds, provided them with comfortable living quarters, and encouraged their studies. This profound patronage transformed Mali into a renowned intellectual hub, attracting some of the finest minds of the medieval Islamic world. Their presence cemented Mali's reputation not just as an economic powerhouse, but as a center of profound learning and culture. The psychological impact of this intellectual flourishing was immense. It fostered a deep sense of pride, a belief in their own cultural sophistication, and a profound reverence for knowledge. It demonstrated that Mali's greatness was not just material, but intellectual and spiritual, a testament to Musa's enlightened leadership. This blend of imperial power and intellectual pursuit created a unique, vibrant court, where the abstract beauty of thought mingled seamlessly with the tangible realities of governance. Musa, through his actions, set a powerful example for his successors, ensuring that knowledge remained a cherished commodity in Mali. Its story, whispered in every scholarly debate, spoke of profound wisdom. A king who walked with scholars was a profound reality in Mali's golden age, a calm, immersive journey through gold, sand, and starlight, charting the quiet brilliance of Mansa Musa, Emperor of Light, forever tethered to the rhythmic murmur of ancient traditions and the enduring wisdom of a king who cherished intellect, transforming his empire into a beacon of intellectual and cultural light. Preparing the Hajj herd around the world. Having established his empire as a beacon of both immense wealth and profound learning, Mansa Musa, a devout Muslim, now set his sights on a spiritual journey that would forever etch his name into the annals of history and reshape the world's perception of Mali. Preparing the Hajj herd around the world was a logistical and ceremonial marvel. Caravans assemble like a moving horizon of silk, plumes, and gold, transforming a religious pilgrimage into an unprecedented display of imperial power, wealth, and faith, ensuring his journey would astonish every kingdom it touched. Imagine the air, warm and dry, thick with the earthy scent of sand, distant river mud, and the subtle tang of human presence, mingling with the rich aroma of exotic spices, precious incense, and vast herds of camels. The sounds were no longer the low murmur of scholars. They included the rhythmic padding of countless camel steps, the cheerful shouts of organizers, and the constant jingle of camel bells. Night skies, shaped like open scripture, illuminated a vast, unprecedented undertaking. In 1324 CE, Mansa Musa embarked on his legendary pilgrimage to Mecca, one of the 5 pillars of Islam, an obligation for every able-bodied Muslim who could afford it. But Musa, with his unparalleled wealth and imperial ambition, transformed this personal spiritual journey into a breathtaking display of his empire's immense power and prosperity, meticulously planned for maximum impact. Listen to the rhythmic padding of thousands of camel steps, a constant, pervasive sound that vibrated through the vast desert, announcing the unprecedented scale of the undertaking. Hear the cheerful shouts of organizers, their voices echoing across the sprawling encampments, directing the assembly of hundreds of vast caravans. See the horizon, once empty, now filling with a moving spectacle of silk, plumes, and glittering gold. Caravans assemble like a moving horizon of silk, plumes, and gold. The sheer scale of the preparation was staggering. Historical accounts, though perhaps embellished, speak of an entourage of tens of thousands of people, thousands of guards, servants, scholars, griots, and merchants. Each camel carried immense loads, not just provisions, but vast quantities of Mali's famous gold, intended for distribution as alms and gifts. The camels themselves, often numbering in the thousands or tens of thousands, were laden with enormous amounts of pure gold dust, carried in bags, or glittering gold staffs carried by the king's personal retinue. The animals and their riders were adorned with rich silks, intricate plumes and precious jewelry, transforming the procession into a moving panorama of unparalleled splendor. This was more than just a religious journey, it was a deliberate act of diplomacy and propaganda. Musa intended to present Mali as a formidable, prosperous, and deeply devout Islamic empire to the wider world. He sought to forge new connections, to secure new trade routes, and to attract scholars and architects to his burgeoning centers of learning. The logistical challenge was immense. Organizing food, water, and security for such a vast multitude across thousands of miles of arid desert required meticulous planning, unparalleled resources, and unwavering discipline. The preparation alone would have taken months, consuming vast amounts of the empire's wealth and manpower. Its story, sung in every camel bell, whispered of unprecedented display. Preparing the Hajj herd around the world was a profound reality in Mali's golden age, a calm, immersive journey through gold, sand, and starlight, charting the quiet brilliance of Mansa Musa, Emperor of Light, forever tethered to the rhythmic murmur of ancient traditions, and the enduring wisdom of a king who transformed a spiritual duty into a global spectacle, astonishing distant capitals and reshaping the world's perception of African wealth. The journey that shook economies, the Golden Pilgrimage, begins. With preparations complete, a logistics marvel of unprecedented scale assembled on the vast, shimmering plains of Mali, ready to embark on a spiritual journey that would forever alter perceptions of African wealth. The Golden Pilgrimage begins. Tens of thousands march. Camels shimmer under gold-threaded saddles, transforming a religious obligation into an astounding display of imperial power, dazzling splendor, and profound generosity, setting in motion a ripple of economic shockwaves that would resonate across continents, from West Africa to the Middle East and Europe. Imagine the air, warm and dry, thick with the earthy scent of sand, distant river mud, and the pervasive aroma of human and animal presence, mingled with the rich fragrance of exotic spices, precious incense, and vast herds of camels. The sounds were no longer the low murmur of preparations. They included the rhythmic padding of countless camel steps, the jingle of myriad bells, the cheerful shouts of caravaneers, and the low hum of devout prayers. Night skies, shaped like open scripture, illuminated a vast, unprecedented undertaking, slowly setting forth. In 1324 CE, Mansa Musa, Emperor of Mali, set forth on his Hajj, his pilgrimage to Mecca. This was no ordinary journey, it was a meticulously planned, profoundly symbolic, and utterly extravagant procession designed to showcase the immense wealth and spiritual devotion of his empire to the wider Islamic world and, inadvertently, to a curious Europe. Listen to the rhythmic padding of thousands of camel steps, a constant, pervasive sound that vibrated through the vast desert, announcing the unprecedented scale of the undertaking. Hear the incessant jingle of countless camel bells, a melodic counterpoint to the quiet reverence of the march. See the vast, shimmering caravans stretching for miles across the arid landscape, a breathtaking spectacle of silk, plumes, and glittering gold. Tens of thousands march, camels shimmer under gold-threaded saddles. Historical accounts, though perhaps embellished by awestruck witnesses, speak of an entourage of tens of thousands of people, thousands of guards, servants, scholars, griots, and personal attendants. Camels, numbering in the tens of thousands, carried not just provisions but immense quantities of Mali's famous gold. Each camel, and often their riders, were adorned with rich silks, intricate plumes and precious jewelry, transforming the procession into a moving panorama of unparalleled splendor. The gold itself, carried in enormous quantities, some accounts suggest hundreds of camel loads of pure gold dust, glittered like captured sunlight, reflecting the harsh desert sun, a dazzling, unmistakable symbol of Mali's boundless wealth. Even the camels' saddles were reportedly threaded with gold, further amplifying the visual impact. This was more than just a religious pilgrimage, it was a deliberate act of diplomacy and economic projection. Musa intended to forge new connections, to secure new trade routes, and to attract scholars and architects to his burgeoning centers of learning. His journey was a walking advertisement for the power and prosperity of Mali. The logistical challenge was immense. Organizing food, water, and security for such a vast multitude across thousands of miles of arid desert required meticulous planning, unparalleled resources, and unwavering discipline. The journey itself would take months, consuming vast amounts of the empire's wealth and manpower. Its story, whispered in every desert breeze, spoke of immense power. The Golden Pilgrimage begins was a profound reality in Mali's golden age, a calm, immersive journey through gold, sand, and starlight, charting the quiet brilliance of Mansa Musa, Emperor of Light, forever tethered to the rhythmic murmur of ancient traditions and the enduring wisdom of a king who transformed a spiritual duty into a global spectacle, setting in motion a cascade of economic and cultural consequences that would reshape the medieval world. A river of wealth down the Nile. As Mansa Musa's Golden Pilgrimage, an unprecedented spectacle of wealth and faith, snaked its way across the vast Sahara, it left an indelible mark on every land it touched. But its most profound and unexpected impact was felt along the mighty Nile. In the bustling markets of Egypt, a river of wealth down the Nile was a chilling, pervasive reality. Gold flowed so freely it destabilized entire economies, transforming prosperity into chaos and revealing the immense, almost incomprehensible scale of Mali's riches, forever altering the economic landscape of the medieval Middle East. Imagine the air, warm and humid, thick with the earthy scent of river mud, distant desert sand, and the subtle tang of human presence, mingling with the rich aroma of exotic spices, priceless perfumes, and the overwhelming scent of newly minted gold. The sounds were no longer the rhythmic padding of camel steps. They included the excited murmurs of astonished crowds, the clatter of newly distributed coins, and the frantic shouts of merchants grappling with sudden, profound inflation. Moonlight over Cairo's ancient mosques and bustling markets illuminated a city utterly transformed by an influx of unprecedented wealth. Mansa Musa's Hajj in 1324 CE was meticulously planned for maximum impact. As his colossal caravan, laden with gold, reached the Mamluk Sultanate of Egypt, its sheer scale and astonishing display of wealth captured the imagination of the entire Islamic world. This was not a subtle entry, it was an eclipse of splendor, a walking testament to a kingdom richer than any dreamt of in Europe. Listen to the excited murmurs of astonished crowds, their voices rising to a clamor as they witnessed the endless procession of Musa's entourage, their eyes wide with disbelief at the sheer amount of gold on display. Hear the rhythmic clatter of newly distributed gold coins, echoing through the bustling streets of Cairo, a constant, insistent sound that spoke of sudden, immense wealth flowing freely. See the city's markets, usually vibrant with trade, now grappling with an influx of precious metal that defied all economic norms. Gold flowed so freely it destabilized entire economies. Musa, driven by piety and generosity, distributed immense quantities of gold as alms to the poor, as gifts to officials and in various acts of charity. Historical accounts suggest he gave away so much gold that its value in Egypt and subsequently in the wider Mediterranean plummeted dramatically. The market was suddenly saturated with a commodity that had once been rare and precious, leading to severe inflation. The psychological impact was immense. For the ordinary people of Cairo, it was a moment of profound astonishment, witnessing a level of wealth they had never imagined. For the merchants and rulers, it was a sudden, bewildering economic crisis as the value of their own gold holdings diminished, disrupting trade, destabilizing prices, and creating widespread financial chaos. This unprecedented influx of gold, flowing like a river down the Nile, fundamentally reshaped the economic landscape. It drew new attention to Mali, confirming its legendary status as the wealthiest kingdom in Africa. It fueled further trans-Saharan trade, but also prompted a desperate scramble among European and Middle Eastern powers to gain access to this fabled source of gold. Its story, whispered in every newly devalued coin, spoke of economic shock. A river of wealth down the Nile was a profound reality in Mali's golden age, a calm, immersive journey through gold, sand and starlight, charting the quiet brilliance of Mansa Musa, Emperor of Light, forever tethered to the rhythmic murmur of ancient traditions and the enduring wisdom of a king whose piety and wealth inadvertently sparked an economic revolution, leaving an indelible mark on the medieval world. Cairo in astonishment, as Mansa Musa's monumental golden pilgrimage, a veritable river of wealth, flowed across the vast Sahara and down the Nile, it eventually reached the ancient, majestic capital of the Mamluk Sultanate. Cairo in astonishment was a profound, unforgettable spectacle. Mansa Musa arrives like an eclipse of splendor, reshaping legends, transforming a city of immense power and sophistication into a realm of stunned disbelief, as the sheer scale of his wealth and his profound generosity forever etched Mali's brilliance into the annals of global history. Imagine the air, warm and dry, thick with the earthy scent of the Nile mud, distant desert sand, and the subtle tang of human presence, mingled with the rich aroma of exotic spices, precious incense, and the overwhelming scent of newly minted gold. The sounds were no longer the frantic shouts of merchants grappling with inflation. They included the hushed murmurs of awe-struck crowds, the clatter of newly distributed coins, and the rhythmic beat of royal drums announcing an unprecedented arrival. Moonlight over Cairo's ancient mosques and bustling markets illuminated a city utterly transformed by an influx of unimaginable wealth. Cairo at the time was one of the largest, wealthiest, and most culturally significant cities in the Islamic world. It was a thriving center of trade, scholarship, and political power, a jewel of the Mamluk Sultanate. Its citizens and rulers were accustomed to wealth and grand displays, yet nothing could have prepared them for the arrival of Mansa Musa's Hajj caravan in 1324 CE. Listen to the hushed murmurs of awe-struck crowds, their voices rising to a clamor as they witnessed the endless procession of Musa's entourage, their eyes wide with disbelief at the sheer amount of gold on display. Hear the rhythmic clatter of newly distributed gold coins echoing through the bustling streets of Cairo, a constant, insistent sound that spoke of sudden, immense wealth flowing freely. See the city's markets, usually vibrant with trade, now grappling with an influx of precious metal that defied all economic norms, their merchants both astonished and bewildered. Mansa Musa arrives like an eclipse of splendor, reshaping legends. His caravan was of unprecedented scale, tens of thousands of people, thousands of camels laden with pure gold. He was a figure of quiet dignity and immense generosity, distributing vast quantities of gold as alms to the poor, as gifts to officials, and in various acts of charity. His generosity was so profound that it became legendary, his reputation for boundless wealth spreading like wildfire across the Middle East and into Europe. His presence in Cairo was akin to an eclipse, a momentary obscuring of the city, sown splendor by a phenomenon of even greater, more dazzling brilliance. He not only brought immense material wealth, but also showcased the cultural and intellectual sophistication of Mali, attracting scholars and architects to his empire. The psychological impact on Cairo was immense. Its citizens, accustomed to being at the center of the world, were utterly astonished. Musa's generosity and piety earned him immense respect, but his gold profoundly destabilized their economy, leading to inflation and a devaluation of gold that lasted for years. This event fundamentally reshaped global perceptions of Africa. European mapmakers, hearing the accounts from Cairo, began to depict Mali with a golden crown, Mansa Musa enthroned, holding a gold nugget, on their maps of Africa, forever etching his legend into the Western imagination. Its story, whispered in every astonished gasp, spoke of unparalleled grandeur. Cairo, in astonishment, was a profound reality in Mali's golden age, a calm, immersive journey through gold, sand, and starlight, charting the quiet brilliance of Mansa Musa, Emperor of Light, forever tethered to the rhythmic murmur of ancient traditions and the enduring wisdom of a king whose piety and wealth profoundly altered the medieval world, leaving an indelible mark on history and legends. Gifts of gold, knowledge, and reverence. As Mansa Musa's golden pilgrimage left Cairo in a state of astonishment, its markets reeling from an unprecedented influx of wealth, the impact of his journey was felt far beyond mere economics. His Hajj was not solely a display of material riches, it was a profound act of cultural and spiritual exchange. Gifts of gold, knowledge, and reverence flowed from his generous hand. He offers more than treasure. He trades wisdom for friendship, transforming imperial power into a profound act of cross-cultural diplomacy, forging lasting bonds that would shape the intellectual and spiritual landscape of his empire for generations. Imagine the air, warm and dry, thick with the earthy scent of sand, precious cedarwood, and the subtle tang of human presence, mingling with the rich aroma of exotic spices, priceless perfumes, and the intellectual fervor of scholarly debate. The sounds were no longer the frantic shouts of merchants. They included the low murmur of thoughtful conversations, the rhythmic beat of royal drums announcing a new alliance, and the hushed exchange of ancient texts. Night skies, shaped like open scripture, illuminated a world where the pursuit of wisdom was revered above all. Mansa Musa, a devout Muslim and an astute statesman, understood that true imperial greatness required not just wealth and military might, but also cultural sophistication and strong diplomatic ties. His pilgrimage to Mecca was an opportunity to showcase Mali's achievements, but also to learn, to connect, and to enrich his empire with the best of the wider Islamic world. Listen to the low murmur of thoughtful conversations between Musa and the scholars of Cairo, their voices deep and resonant, debating points of Islamic law, philosophical texts, or astronomical observations. Hear the rhythmic beat of royal drums announcing a new alliance, a diplomatic exchange, or a moment of profound cultural appreciation. See the lavish gifts, not just gold, but rare manuscripts, exquisite textiles, precious spices being exchanged, symbolizing a deeper connection. He offers more than treasure, he trades wisdom for friendship. Musa generously distributed vast quantities of gold, yes, but he also offered the far more enduring gifts of knowledge and reverence. He engaged deeply with the scholars, imams, and jurists of Cairo and Mecca, seeking their wisdom, discussing theological and scientific matters, demonstrating his profound intellectual curiosity and respect for learning. He extended invitations to prominent architects, scholars, and jurists to return with him to Mali. These were not just paid recruits. They were respected guests, forming profound intellectual friendships with the Mansa. He offered them not just wealth, but the opportunity to contribute to a thriving intellectual center, to share their knowledge, to build a new beacon of Islamic learning in West Africa. His reverence for Islam was absolute. His pilgrimage strengthened his own spiritual understanding and cemented Mali's reputation as a devout Muslim empire. He invested heavily in the construction of mosques and madrasas, establishing Mali as a prominent center of Islamic scholarship and piety. The psychological impact was immense. For the rulers and intellectuals of the Middle East, Musa's generosity and intellectual engagement reshaped their perceptions of Africa, revealing a sophisticated, powerful, and deeply cultured empire. For Mali, it brought a new infusion of knowledge, architectural styles, and spiritual guidance, profoundly enriching its cultural tapestry. Its story, whispered in every exchanged text, spoke of boundless wisdom. Gifts of gold, knowledge, and reverence flowed from his generous hand. This was a profound reality in Mali's golden age, a calm, immersive journey through gold, sand, and starlight, charting the quiet brilliance of Mansa Musa, Emperor of Light, forever tethered to the rhythmic murmur of ancient traditions and the enduring wisdom of a king who commanded not just wealth, but profound intellectual curiosity, enriching his empire and reshaping its place in the medieval world. A legacy written in dust and ore. As Mansa Musa's monumental, golden pilgrimage finally departed the bustling, astonished cities of Cairo and Mecca, leaving behind a ripple of economic shockwaves and a profound impression of Mali's dazzling splendor, his journey transcended mere history. A legacy written in dust and ore was forged. When Musa departs, cities whisper his name for generations, transforming a single man's Hajj into an enduring myth, an unshakable testament to imperial power, boundless generosity, and unwavering faith that would shape global perceptions of African wealth for centuries to come. Imagine the air, warm and dry, thick with the earthy scent of sand, distant river mud, and the subtle tang of human presence, mingling with the rich aroma of exotic spices and the lingering scent of vast wealth. The sounds were no longer the rhythmic padding of countless camel steps. They included the low murmur of astonished conversations, the hushed retelling of incredible tales, and the distant, almost ceremonial beat of drums echoing across the desert. Night skies, shaped like open scripture, illuminated a world forever changed by a single, luminous journey. Mansa Musa's Hajj in 1324 CE was arguably the most impactful single diplomatic and religious event of the medieval period from an African ruler. His entourage, numbering in the tens of thousands, laden with immense quantities of gold, made an unforgettable impression on every kingdom it passed through, particularly the Mamluk Sultanate of Egypt. Listen to the low murmur of astonished conversations, their voices filled with disbelief and wonder, recounting the spectacle of Musa's caravan, the sheer amount of gold he distributed, the profound piety he displayed. Hear the hushed whispers of storytellers weaving new legends around his name, embellishing his generosity, amplifying his wealth, transforming him into a figure of almost mythical proportions. See the faces of generations etched with awe, their imaginations captured by the tales of the Golden King. When Musa departs, cities whisper his name for generations. His generosity, particularly in Cairo, where he distributed so much gold that its value plummeted, created a lasting memory. The economic impact was immense, but the psychological impact was even greater. Musa's pilgrimage shattered preconceived notions, revealing an African empire of unparalleled wealth and sophistication, challenging the Eurocentric worldview of the time. His journey was meticulously recorded by Arab chroniclers like Al-Umari and Ibn Khaldun, whose accounts, filled with awe and admiration, spread his fame across the Islamic world. From there, the legends filtered into Europe, prompting cartographers to depict Mali with a golden crown and Mansa Musa enthroned, holding a gold nugget, on their maps of Africa. The legacy was written in dust and ore, the dust of the Sahara, which his immense caravan had churned for thousands of miles, carried his story. The awe of those who witnessed his procession and those who heard the tales solidified his legend, transforming him into the most famous and celebrated African ruler in medieval history. This enduring fame not only elevated Mali's status, but also spurred increased European interest in West Africa as gold resources, inadvertently setting the stage for future exploration and exploitation. Yet for centuries, Musa's image stood as a testament to African power and prosperity. Its story, whispered in every desert breeze, spoke of eternal fame. A legacy written in dust and ore was a profound reality in Mali's golden age, a calm, immersive journey through gold, sand and starlight, charting the quiet brilliance of Mansa Musa, Emperor of Light, forever tethered to the rhythmic murmur of ancient traditions and the enduring wisdom of a king whose piety and wealth inadvertently sparked an economic revolution, leaving an indelible mark on the medieval world, his name a beacon across the sands of time. Timbuktu, Jewel of the Sahara, the University of Sankore. The University of Sankore was not merely a school, it was a vibrant, thriving intellectual sanctuary of learning where knowledge swirled like incense, transforming a humble mosque into a renowned center of scholarship, attracting thousands of students and teachers, and solidifying Timbuktu's reputation as the undisputed jewel of the Sahara. Imagine the air, warm and dry, thick with the earthy scent of sand, old parchment, and the subtle tang of human presence, mingling with the rich, complex aromas of exotic spices and the pervasive fragrance of scholarly debate. The sounds were no longer the incessant jingle of camel bells. They included the hushed murmur of students, the rhythmic scratch of quills, and the low, melodic cadence of Quranic recitation. Night skies, shaped like open scripture, illuminated a world where the pursuit of wisdom burned brighter than any lamp. Mansa Musa, a devout Muslim and a profound patron of the arts and sciences, dedicated a significant portion of his immense wealth to the development of Timbuktu's intellectual and religious institutions after his return from Mecca. He brought back with him scholars, architects and jurists, transforming the city into a renowned center of Islamic scholarship. Listen to the hushed murmur of students, their voices low and intense, debating points of Islamic law, philosophy and theology in dimly lit courtyards or under the shade of mud brick walls. Hear the rhythmic scratch of countless quills on precious parchment as scribes meticulously copied ancient texts, preserving the wisdom of generations. See the vast libraries meticulously organized, laden with thousands of manuscripts, their bindings rich leather, their pages filled with the intricate beauty of Arabic script, a sanctuary of learning where knowledge swirled like incense. The University of Sankore, though not a single, unified institution in the European sense, was a collection of mosques and madrasas, schools, centered around the Sankore Mosque. It became a hub of higher learning, specializing in Islamic law, astronomy, mathematics, medicine, rhetoric, and theology. Scholars from across Africa, the Middle East, and even Europe were drawn to its intellectual vibrancy, seeking knowledge and contributing to its rich academic tapestry. Knowledge swirled like incense, fragrant and pervasive, permeating every corner of the city. Debates would spill from the madrasas into the marketplaces, influencing not just religious thought, but legal practice, economic decisions, and social norms. Timbuktu became a crucible of ideas, where ancient wisdom was preserved, interpreted, and expanded upon. The intellectual flourishing of Sankore was a profound source of pride for the Mali Empire, demonstrating its sophistication and its commitment to values beyond mere material wealth. It provided a spiritual and intellectual anchor for the vast empire, fostering a shared identity rooted in Islamic scholarship. Its story, whispered in every turning page, spoke of profound wisdom. The University of Sankore was a profound reality in Timbuktu's golden age, a calm, immersive journey through gold, sand, and starlight, charting the quiet brilliance of Mali's intellectual heart, forever tethered to the rhythmic murmur of ancient traditions and the enduring wisdom of scholars, transforming a desert outpost into a beacon of knowledge, its light outshining even the glittering gold of empires. Manuscripts like constellations. Within the hallowed, lantern-lit halls of Timbuktu's University of Sankore, where knowledge swirled like incense, Mansa Musa's vision for intellectual grandeur found its most tangible, astonishing expression. Manuscripts like constellations filled its libraries, thousands of texts on law, astronomy, poetry, medicine, a galaxy on parchment, transforming humble written pages into an immense, glittering universe of wisdom, a profound testament to the city's unparalleled intellectual wealth and its enduring commitment to preserving the accumulated knowledge of the Islamic world. Imagine the air, warm and dry, thick with the earthy scent of sand, old parchment, and the subtle tang of human presence, mingling with the rich aroma of exotic spices and the intellectual fervor of scholarly debate. The sounds were no longer the hushed murmur of students. They included the soft rustle of turning pages, the rhythmic scratch of quills, and the low, melodic cadence of Quranic recitation. Night skies, shaped like open scripture, illuminated a world where the pursuit of wisdom burned brighter than any lamp. Timbuktu's libraries, far from being dusty, neglected collections, were vibrant, active centers of scholarship. They were meticulously organized, filled with the intellectual treasures amassed over centuries, many painstakingly copied by hand by dedicated scribes, others acquired at immense cost through trans-Saharan trade. Listen to the soft rustle of turning pages, a constant, gentle sound in the hushed quiet of the library as scholars pored over ancient texts. Hear the rhythmic scratch of countless quills on precious parchment, as scribes meticulously copied new acquisitions or created additional copies of vital works. See the vast shelves meticulously organized, laden with thousands upon thousands of manuscripts, their bindings rich leather, their pages filled with the intricate beauty of Arabic script, thousands of texts on law, astronomy, poetry, medicine, a galaxy on parchment. The sheer volume and diversity of these manuscripts were astonishing. They covered every conceivable field of Islamic scholarship. Profound commentaries on the Quran and Hadith, intricate treatises on Maliki law, a major school of Islamic jurisprudence, sophisticated texts on astronomy and mathematics, including algebra and trigonometry, detailed medical encyclopedias, philosophical works by Ibn Rushd and Al-Ghazali, and vast collections of Arabic and West African poetry. These manuscripts were more than just books, they were constellations of knowledge, interconnected points of light in a vast intellectual universe. They represented the accumulated wisdom of centuries, spanning civilizations from ancient Greece to the vibrant Islamic world, preserved and enriched by the scholars of Timbuktu. The creation and preservation of these manuscripts were monumental feats. Parchment, made from animal skins, was expensive. Ink, was precious. The labor of scribes was immense. Yet the commitment to this intellectual galaxy was unwavering, reflecting the profound value placed on knowledge by Mansa Musa and his successors. The psychological impact of this intellectual wealth was immense. It fostered a deep sense of pride, a belief in their own cultural sophistication, and a profound reverence for knowledge. It demonstrated that Mali's greatness was not just material, but intellectual and spiritual, a testament to Timbuktu's status as a beacon of learning. Its story, whispered in every turning page, spoke of boundless wisdom. Manuscripts like constellations filled Timbuktu's libraries, a profound reality in Mali's golden age, a calm, immersive journey through gold, sand, and starlight, charting the quiet brilliance of Timbuktu, jewel of the Sahara, forever tethered to the rhythmic murmur of ancient texts and the enduring wisdom of scholars, transforming a desert outpost into a galaxy of intellectual light. Scholars in white robes. Within the sun-drenched courtyards and bustling thoroughfares of Timbuktu, where libraries held manuscripts like constellations, a distinctive and revered presence permeated the intellectual atmosphere. Scholars in white robes were a profound daily reality. They debate beneath the shade of mud brick walls glowing in late sunlight, embodying the city's vibrant intellectual life, transforming bustling public spaces into arenas of profound discussion and underscoring Timbuktu's reputation as a distinguished center of learning and piety across the Islamic world. Imagine the air, warm and dry, thick with the earthy scent of sun-baked mud brick, old parchment, and the subtle tang of human presence, mingling with the rich aroma of exotic spices and the intellectual fervor of scholarly debate. The sounds were no longer the rhythmic scratch of quills. They included the hushed murmur of intense discussions, the gentle rustle of flowing robes, and the low, melodic cadence of intellectual exchange. Night skies, shaped like open scripture, illuminated a city where the pursuit of wisdom was revered above all. Timbuktu, under Mansa Musa and his successors, had become a magnet for scholars from across the Islamic world, from North Africa, Egypt, Arabia, and beyond. These were not just students, but highly respected teachers, jurists, astronomers, and theologians, drawn by the city's rich intellectual environment and the generous patronage of its rulers. Listen to the hushed murmur of intense discussions, their voices low and passionate, debating points of Islamic law, philosophical texts, astronomical observations, or medical theories. Hear the rhythmic rustle of their clean white robes as they gestured, emphasized a point, or turned to consult a colleague. See the groups of scholars, their faces etched with concentration and intellectual zeal, gathered in the courtyards of mosques and madrasas, or simply beneath the shade of a prominent mud brick wall. They debate beneath the shade of mud brick walls glowing in late sunlight. The harsh desert sun, relentless in its intensity, made shaded areas precious. Scholars would gather in the courtyards under awnings or in the cool, airy interiors of the city's magnificent mud brick buildings. As the day waned, the unique architecture of Timbuktu, its mud brick walls, sculpted by wind and rain, would glow with a warm golden light, providing a serene, inspiring backdrop for their intellectual pursuits. These debates were not merely academic exercises, they shaped the legal, ethical, and spiritual fabric of the Mali Empire. Jurists would apply Islamic law to local customs, creating a cohesive legal system. Astronomers would refine calendar systems and navigational techniques. Theologians would interpret sacred texts, guiding the spiritual lives of millions. Their clean, white robes, traditionally worn by scholars and religious figures in Islamic cultures, were a visible symbol of their purity, their learning, and their revered status within Timbuktu. Their presence lent an aura of profound intellectual dignity to the city. The psychological impact was immense. The presence of so many learned individuals engaged in constant intellectual inquiry fostered a deep sense of cultural sophistication, a profound reverence for knowledge. It demonstrated that Mali's greatness was not just material, but intellectual and spiritual, a testament to Timbuktu's status as a beacon of learning. Its story, whispered in every scholarly debate, spoke of profound wisdom. Scholars in white robes were a profound reality in Timbuktu's golden age, a calm, immersive journey through gold, sand, and starlight, charting the quiet brilliance of Mali's intellectual heart, forever tethered to the rhythmic murmur of ancient texts and the enduring wisdom of scholars, transforming a desert outpost into a galaxy of intellectual light, its very streets vibrant with the flow of ideas. The Djinguereber Mosque. The Djinguereber Mosque stands as its enduring, iconic symbol. A desert cathedral built from earth, straw, and genius, transforming humble, local materials into a monumental work of art and devotion, embodying the city's unique blend of African tradition and Islamic piety, and underscoring Timbuktu's profound spiritual and intellectual significance. Imagine the air, warm and dry, thick with the earthy scent of sand, sun-baked mud brick, and the subtle tang of human presence, mingling with the rich aroma of incense and the hushed reverence of prayer. The sounds were no longer the low murmur of scholarly debate. They included the solemn chanting of imams, the low murmur of worshippers, and the rhythmic beat of distant drums. Night skies, shaped like open scripture, illuminated a towering structure that seemed to grow organically from the desert itself. The Djinguereber Mosque, one of Timbuktu's three great mosques, along with Sankore and Sidi Yahya, was commissioned by Mansa Musa after his return from Mecca in 1324 CE. He brought with him the Andalusian architect Abu Ishaq al-Sahili, who is credited with its original design. What emerged was a masterpiece of Sudanic Sahelian architecture, deeply influenced by local traditions but elevated to monumental scale. Listen to the solemn chanting of imams, their voices echoing through the vast, cool prayer halls, leading hundreds of worshippers in collective devotion. Hear the low murmur of individual prayers, the soft rustle of robes as people prostrated themselves, their foreheads touching the cool, packed earth floor. See the colossal mud brick walls, their surfaces textured by the hands that built them, their intricate details softened by the passage of centuries. A desert cathedral built from earth, straw, and genius. The mosque's construction was a profound testament to ingenious adaptation. It was built predominantly from adobe, sun-dried mud bricks, a readily available local material. However, its sophisticated design incorporated elements like internal timber frames, often of Ronia wood, and projecting wooden stakes, turon, that served not only as decorative features but also as permanent scaffolding, allowing for easy replastering after the rainy season. This continuous maintenance, a communal ritual, kept the mosque alive, a living, breathing structure. Its towering minarets, its vast prayer halls, its intricate courtyards, all were fashioned from earth and straw, yet possessed an undeniable majesty, a profound spiritual presence. It was a cathedral not of stone, but of the desert itself, its forms echoing the contours of the dunes, its colors blending seamlessly with the surrounding landscape. The Djinguereber Mosque served as more than just a place of worship. It was a center for religious education, a hub for legal scholarship, and a focal point for communal life. Its vast size allowed thousands of people to gather for prayer, reinforcing the spiritual unity of the city and the empire. The psychological impact was immense. It fostered a deep sense of pride, a belief in their own architectural and spiritual sophistication, and a profound reverence for their faith. It demonstrated that Mali's greatness was not just material, but cultural and spiritual, a testament to Timbuktu's status as a beacon of both Islamic piety and African ingenuity. Its story, sung in every call to prayer, whispered of profound faith. The Djinguereber Mosque was a profound reality in Timbuktu's golden age, a calm, immersive journey through gold, sand and starlight, charting the quiet brilliance of Timbuktu, jewel of the Sahara, forever tethered to the rhythmic murmur of ancient traditions and the enduring wisdom of architects, transforming humble earth into a monumental work of devotion and genius, its very walls glowing with the spirit of the desert. Trade routes stretching to the edge of imagination. This prosperity was not confined to its local markets or riverine trade. It was driven by a vast, intricate network that connected it to a wider world. Trade routes stretching to the edge of imagination defined its economic heart. Salt caravans glided toward Morocco, gold flowed south to forest kingdoms, transforming the immense Sahara into a pulsing highway of commerce, culture, and power, and cementing Timbuktu's legendary status as the undisputed hub of trans-Saharan exchange. Imagine the air, warm and dry, thick with the earthy scent of sand, distant river mud, and the subtle tang of human enterprise, mingling with the rich, complex aromas of exotic spices, dried dates, and vast herds of camels. The sounds were no longer the solemn chanting of imams. They included the rhythmic padding of countless camel steps, the jingle of myriad bells, the cheerful shouts of caravaneers, and the low murmur of bustling marketplaces. Night skies, shaped like open scripture, illuminated vast caravans drifting like constellations across the dunes, their long, winding lines stretching to the horizon. Timbuktu's unique geography, situated just north of the Niger River, at the southern edge of the Sahara, made it an indispensable intermediary point in the trans-Saharan trade. It was the crucial meeting point where riverine trade routes from the gold-rich forests of the south converged with the great caravan routes from the north, linking West Africa to the Mediterranean, North Africa, and beyond to Europe and the Middle East. Listen to the rhythmic padding of thousands of camel steps, their cushioned feet moving silently across the vast, undulating dunes, a constant, pervasive sound that spoke of distant journeys and immense wealth. Hear the incessant jingle of countless camel bells announcing the arrival of a new caravan, a melodic counterpoint to the quiet hum of the city. See the vast, shimmering caravans stretching for miles across the arid landscape, a breathtaking spectacle of desert commerce. Salt caravans glided toward Morocco, gold flowed south to forest kingdoms. Salt, mined from vast crystalline deposits in the heart of the Sahara, like Tagaza, was as valuable as gold in the south, essential for human and animal health and for preserving food. These immense caravans, often comprising thousands of camels, laden with heavy blocks of salt, would trek north, destined for the markets of Morocco and other North African cities. In return, gold, sourced from the southern forest kingdoms, like Wangara, Bambouk, and Bure, flowed north through Timbuktu, destined for the markets of North Africa, Europe, and the Middle East. But other goods were also traded: ivory, cola nuts, slaves, hides, textiles, copper, Arabic manuscripts, and exotic spices. Timbuktu acted as the crucial entrepot, the intermediary, regulating and taxing this vast flow of wealth. This complex network of trade routes stretched to the edge of imagination, connecting Timbuktu to a truly global economy. It brought not just material wealth but also cultural exchange, new ideas, new technologies, and new forms of art, enriching the intellectual and spiritual life of Mali. The psychological impact of this constant flow of trade was immense. It fostered a deep sense of prosperity, a belief in their own wealth and importance, and a reverence for the city that stood as the gateway to such immense riches. The daily arrival of caravans was a profound affirmation of their enduring power and their central role in the global economy. Its story, sung in every camel bell, whispered of immense connection. Trade routes, stretching to the edge of imagination, were a profound reality in Timbuktu's golden age, a calm, immersive journey through gold, sand and starlight, charting the quiet brilliance of Timbuktu, jewel of the Sahara, forever tethered to the rhythmic murmur of caravans and the enduring wisdom of merchants, transforming the desert into a pulsating highway of global commerce and profound cultural exchange. Echoes across the sands, a city that outshone medieval Europe. As the medieval world grappled with profound social and economic upheavals, a dazzling center of wealth, learning and culture flourished in the heart of West Africa. A city that outshone medieval Europe was a profound, often forgotten reality. While Europe struggled through plague and scarcity, Timbuktu thrived on scholarship and trade, transforming its desert outpost into an unparalleled beacon of intellectual and economic brilliance, challenging Eurocentric narratives and revealing a sophisticated, prosperous African civilization whose light permeated continents. Imagine the air warm and dry, thick with the earthy scent of sand, old parchment, and the subtle tang of human presence, mingling with the rich aroma of exotic spices and the intellectual fervor of scholarly debate. The sounds were no longer the mournful toll of plague bells. They included the hushed murmur of students, the rhythmic scratch of quills, and the low melodic cadence of Quranic recitation. Night skies, shaped like open scripture, illuminated a world where the pursuit of wisdom burned brighter than any lamp. For centuries, European narratives often overlooked or underestimated the vast and sophisticated civilizations of Africa. But during the 13th to 16th centuries, at its zenith under the Mali and later Songhai empires, Timbuktu was, by many measures, richer and more intellectually vibrant than many of its European counterparts. Listen to the hushed murmur of scholars, their voices low and intense, debating points of Islamic law, philosophy, and astronomy in dimly lit courtyards. Hear the rhythmic scratch of countless quills on precious parchment as scribes meticulously copied thousands of ancient texts. See the vast libraries laden with manuscripts, their contents a galaxy of knowledge, far surpassing the collections of most European universities of the era. While Europe struggled through plague and scarcity, Timbuktu thrived on scholarship and trade. The 14th century, which saw Europe devastated by the Black Death and plagued by famine and feudal warfare, was precisely the period of Timbuktu's greatest flourishing under Mansa Musa. Its strategic control of the trans-Saharan gold salt trade insulated it from some of Europe's economic woes, allowing it to continue accumulating immense wealth. This wealth, coupled with a deep Islamic reverence for knowledge, fueled an unparalleled intellectual flourishing. The University of Sankore and other madrasas became renowned centers for Islamic studies, attracting scholars and students from across Africa and beyond. Timbuktu became a crucible of ideas, preserving and expanding upon vast amounts of knowledge in fields like astronomy, mathematics, medicine, and law, at a time when much of this learning was still fragmented or lost in Europe. The trade routes stretching to the edge of imagination, bringing in goods and ideas from across the Sahara, the Mediterranean, and the wider Islamic world, further cemented its economic and cultural vibrancy. Timbuktu was a true cosmopolitan hub, a beacon of learning and commerce in a harsh desert environment. The psychological impact was immense. For its inhabitants, it fostered a deep sense of pride, a belief in their own cultural sophistication, and a profound reverence for both material and intellectual wealth. For those who learned of it in distant lands, it reshaped perceptions of African civilization, challenging narrow Eurocentric views. Its story, whispered in every turning page, spoke of unparalleled brilliance. A city that outshone medieval Europe was a profound reality in Mali's golden age, a calm, immersive journey through gold, sand, and starlight, charting the quiet brilliance of Timbuktu, jewel of the Sahara, forever tethered to the rhythmic murmur of ancient traditions and the enduring wisdom of scholars, transforming a desert outpost into a beacon of intellectual and economic light, its glow permeating continents, the compassion of a just court. Beyond Timbuktu's glittering gold and famed libraries, which outshone many European capitals, lay a more profound, often overlooked aspect of Mali's greatness, its commitment to social order and ethical governance. The compassion of a just court was a defining principle. Mali's justice system stood firm, blending tradition with Islam, transforming mere rule into a profound framework of equity, fostering stability, and earning respect from both its diverse populace and awe from distant observers, underscoring its sophisticated moral brilliance. Imagine the air, warm and dry, thick with the earthy scent of mud brick, old parchment, and the subtle tang of human presence, mingling with the rich aroma of exotic spices and the intellectual fervor of scholarly debate. The sounds were no longer the hushed murmur of students. They included the low, measured tones of judges, the rustle of official documents, and the calm, respectful voices of disputants. Night skies, shaped like open scripture, illuminated a world fundamentally governed by the principles of justice. Mansa Musa and his successors were not just powerful rulers, they were devout Muslims who meticulously applied Islamic law, Sharia, to their vast empire, blending it with existing Malian customary traditions. Their commitment to justice, particularly for the poor and vulnerable, was a cornerstone of their governance, enhancing social cohesion and maintaining peace across diverse ethnic and religious groups. Listen to the low, measured tones of judges, their voices calm and authoritative, presiding over disputes in open courtyards or designated legal chambers. Hear the low murmur of disputants presenting their cases, their words concise, respectful, guided by the established legal framework. See the scribes, their quills poised, meticulously recording testimony and judgments onto clay tablets or parchment. Mali's justice system stood firm, blending tradition with Islam. The legal system was remarkably sophisticated for its time. It incorporated elements of Islamic law derived from the Quran and Sunnah, which provided a comprehensive framework for civil, criminal, and personal matters. This was meticulously blended with local Malian customary law, which governed traditional practices and disputes, creating a unique hybrid system that was both effective and culturally sensitive. Judges, often highly educated scholars trained in Islamic jurisprudence from Timbuktu and other intellectual centers, were renowned for their impartiality and wisdom. They ensured that justice was administered fairly, that the rights of all citizens, noble, commoner, and even slave, were protected, and that disputes were resolved peacefully. The compassion of a just court was particularly evident in its treatment of the vulnerable. Islamic law often emphasized compassion for the poor, for orphans, for widows. While punishments could be severe for grave crimes, there was a strong emphasis on restorative justice, on upholding community harmony, and on ensuring the well-being of all subjects. The psychological impact was immense. It fostered a deep sense of security, a belief in the fairness of their rulers, and a profound respect for the legal system. This stability, this trust in justice, was a powerful force for social cohesion, allowing the empire to flourish economically and intellectually, free from widespread internal strife. Its story, whispered in every just verdict, spoke of profound equity, the compassion of a just court, was a profound reality in Mali's golden age, a calm, immersive journey through gold, sand and starlight, charting the quiet brilliance of Mali's sophisticated governance, forever tethered to the rhythmic murmur of ancient laws and the enduring wisdom of justice, transforming imperial power into a beacon of ethical leadership and profound stability, its echoes resonating across the sands of time. The silence before change. The silence before change was a haunting, pervasive reality. As global routes shift, caravans thin like vanishing mirages, transforming the once bustling desert highways into desolate, empty expanses, marking the slow, inexorable erosion of Mali's economic power and the onset of a profound, unsettling shift in the very fabric of its existence. Imagine the air, warm and dry, thick with the earthy scent of sand, distant river mud, and the subtle tang of human presence, now permeated by a profound, almost suffocating stillness. The sounds were no longer the rhythmic padding of countless camel steps or the cheerful shouts of caravaneers. They included the low murmur of anxious conversations, the faint whisper of wind across empty dunes, and the profound, eerie quiet of deserted trade routes. Night skies, shaped like open scripture, illuminated a world poised on the brink of an unknown future. For centuries, Mali's immense wealth and Timbuktu's prosperity had been inextricably linked to the trans-Saharan trade. Gold flowed north, salt and other goods flowed south, creating a vibrant, intricate network of commerce that connected West Africa to the wider Islamic world and Europe. This vast exchange was the lifeblood of the empire. Listen to the low murmur of anxious conversations among merchants in Timbuktu's now quieter marketplaces, discussing dwindling profits, the irregularity of caravans, the shifting economic tides. Hear the faint whisper of wind across empty dunes, a desolate sound that spoke of vast, unused pathways. See the horizon, once filled with the shimmering spectacle of immense caravans, now appearing empty, stretching endlessly under the vast, indifferent sky. As global routes shift, caravans thin like vanishing mirages. The late 15th and early 16th centuries brought profound changes to global trade. The Portuguese, meticulously exploring the West African coast, established direct maritime trade routes to the gold-producing regions of the south. This new sea-based trade bypassed the trans-Saharan routes entirely, diverting the flow of gold away from Timbuktu and other Sahelian cities. The impact was devastating. The caravans, once immense and numerous, began to thin like vanishing mirages. The once bustling desert highways, which had pulsed with the lifeblood of commerce, slowly became desolate, empty expanses. The wealth that had flowed for centuries through Timbuktu began to diminish, slowly eroding its economic power and prestige. The psychological impact was immense. The silence before change was a profound, unsettling presence. It heralded a new era of uncertainty, a loss of economic dominance, and a gradual erosion of their traditional way of life. The very foundation of their prosperity, the trans-Saharan trade, was being undermined by forces they could not control or even fully comprehend. This economic decline, though slow, eventually weakened the empire, making it more vulnerable to external pressures and internal conflicts. The intellectual vibrancy of Timbuktu would eventually dim, its scholars and manuscripts becoming more exposed to the chaos of a changing world. As global routes shift, caravans thin like vanishing mirages. The silence before change was a profound reality in Timbuktu's golden age, a calm, immersive journey through gold, sand and starlight, charting the quiet brilliance of Mali's fading prosperity, forever tethered to the rhythmic murmur of ancient traditions and the enduring wisdom of merchants, now confronting the inexorable march of a new, uncertain future, its echoes resonating across the sands of time. the decline of desert empires. As the silence before change deepened and the trans-Saharan trade routes thinned into vanishing mirages, the once unparalleled brilliance of Mali's golden age began its slow, inexorable descent. The decline of desert empires was a profound, heartbreaking reality. Invaders arrive, libraries burn, manuscripts scatter like frightened birds, transforming a vibrant intellectual and economic hub into a landscape of profound loss and shattered glory, marking the tragic end of an era and the lasting impact of external forces. Imagine the air, warm and dry, thick with the earthy scent of sand, distant river mud, and the subtle tang of human presence, now permeated by the acrid smell of smoke and profound despair. The sounds were no longer the low murmur of anxious merchants. They included the clash of foreign weapons, the shouts of invaders, the desperate cries of a populace, and the terrifying crackle of burning parchment. Night skies, shaped like open scripture, now illuminated the grim, chaotic reality of a once proud city in its twilight. The gradual economic decline caused by the shift in global trade routes inevitably weakened the Mali Empire. Internal divisions, succession disputes, and the rise of rival powers, such as the Songhai Empire, which eventually supplanted Mali, further exacerbated its vulnerability. Timbuktu, once the jewel of the Sahara, became a prize to be fought over, its immense wealth and intellectual treasures coveted by ambitious conquerors. Listen to the clash of foreign weapons, the shouts of invaders, their guttural commands echoing through the narrow, winding streets of Timbuktu. Hear the desperate cries of the populace, their voices filled with terror and despair as their city was ransacked. See the flames licking high into the night sky, consuming priceless libraries, turning ancient parchment into ash, a horrifying spectacle of destruction. Invaders arrive, libraries burn, manuscripts scatter like frightened birds. The most devastating blow came in 1591 when the Moroccan army, armed with gunpowder and European weapons, muskets, crossed the Sahara and defeated the Songhai Empire, which had by then succeeded Mali. Timbuktu, a city built on intellectual and spiritual power, not military might, was ruthlessly plundered. Its renowned libraries, filled with thousands of invaluable manuscripts, were either deliberately burned, seized by the invaders, or scattered by frightened residents, desperately trying to save them. The burning of libraries was a profound tragedy, an immense loss of human knowledge and cultural heritage. Manuscripts, the galaxy of wisdom accumulated over centuries, were either utterly destroyed or dispersed, their precious pages scattering like frightened birds across the desert, their knowledge momentarily lost to the world. The psychological impact was immense. The systematic destruction of their intellectual heritage, the brutal imposition of foreign rule, and the profound loss of independence left a deep scar on the people of Timbuktu. The city, though it would survive, never fully recovered its former glory as an intellectual powerhouse. The memory of its past, however, would endure. The scholars who managed to preserve some manuscripts, the oral traditions that carried its history, the physical remnants of its mosques and universities, these became anchors of a lost golden age, whispering tales of its former brilliance. Invaders arrive, libraries burn, manuscripts scatter like frightened birds. The decline of desert empires was a profound reality in Timbuktu's twilight, a calm, immersive journey through gold, sand, and starlight, charting the quiet brilliance of Mali's fading prosperity, forever tethered to the rhythmic murmur of ancient traditions and the enduring wisdom of scholars, now confronting the inexorable march of conquest and profound loss, its echoes resonating across the sands of time. Timbuktu's lasting glow. The sun, having witnessed Timbuktu's humble beginnings, its unparalleled golden age under Mansa Musa, and its eventual decline amidst shifting trade routes and devastating invasions, now cast its light on a vastly changed world. The empires had crumbled, the libraries had burned, and the manuscripts had scattered. Yet the story of Timbuktu was not one of mere disappearance, but of profound, enduring influence. Timbuktu's lasting glow is an eternal testament. The legend remains, a place where knowledge was worth more than gold, and gold was as common as sand, a radiant legacy that continues to inspire, to inform, and to challenge our understanding of African history and the very essence of human civilization. Imagine the air, crisp and clean, thick with the subtle scent of sand, distant river mud, and the pervasive aroma of memory mingling with the low hum of modern life. The sounds are no longer the clash of invading armies. They include the rhythmic beat of a tribal drum, the low murmur of historians, and the soft strains of ceremonial songs, all echoing the profound lessons of the past. Moonlight over ancient mud-brick mosques, now carefully restored, illuminates a world where the past and present intertwine, eternally bound by a persistent, shimmering legacy. Timbuktu, for centuries, was a city of profound paradox. A thriving metropolis at the edge of an immense desert, a beacon of intellectual light far removed from the centers of European learning, a nexus of wealth whose most precious commodity was not material, but knowledge. Its golden age, its intellectual vibrancy, its immense prosperity remain a powerful counter-narrative to colonialist histories of Africa. Listen to the rhythmic padding of countless camel steps, now fewer but still present, a faint echo of the vast caravans that once made Timbuktu's fortune. Hear the hushed whispers of tour guides recounting the legends of Mansa Musa, of the University of Sankore, of the thousands of manuscripts that defined its golden age. See the carefully preserved and restored mud-brick mosques, their towering forms still rising from the sand, silent, enduring witnesses to centuries of profound faith and learning. The legend remains, a place where knowledge was worth more than gold, and gold was as common as sand. This was Timbuktu's enduring truth. Its immense wealth derived from the gold salt trade was used not just for opulent displays, but for the patronage of scholars, for the acquisition of manuscripts, for the construction of madrasas. It fundamentally valued intellectual capital above mere material riches, a philosophical stance that resonates deeply even today. The image of gold as common as sand, though an exaggeration, captures the sheer scale of Mali's wealth, particularly under Mansa Musa. It challenged the Eurocentric view of the world, forcing a re-evaluation of African sophistication and economic power. It became a powerful symbol of African prosperity and cultural richness. Its intellectual legacy, preserved in the surviving manuscripts, many now meticulously restored and made accessible, continues to inform scholars globally, shedding light on Islamic jurisprudence, astronomy, medicine, and the rich history of West Africa. Timbuktu's profound contribution to the world of learning is undeniable, a light that continues to shine across centuries. The decline of desert empires, the arrival of invaders, the burning of libraries, these were painful, tragic events, but they could not extinguish the city's lasting glow, its enduring legacy. For its true wealth was not in its gold, but in its knowledge, its faith, its spirit. The legend remains, a place where knowledge was worth more than gold, and gold was as common as sand. Timbuktu's lasting glow is a profound, inspiring testament to human resilience, a living legacy that defines the very essence of intellectual and cultural achievement. It is a calm, immersive journey through gold, sand, and starlight, charting the quiet brilliance of Mali's golden age, forever embedded in the enduring memory of its profound, humble survival a constant reminder that the light of knowledge, like gold, can indeed be eternal, shimmering across the vast, silent landscape of the Sahara forever. Thanks for staying with this quiet journey through one of the most extraordinary places ever to rise from desert dust. If you made it all the way through the story of Timbuktu and Mansa Musa's empire, you now know something that most people don't: the truth behind the golden legends of Africa's medieval heart. It wasn't just a city of riches, it was a city of light, a place where gold and scripture shared the same breath, and where the measure of wealth was not in coins but in knowledge. While Europe's towers echoed with fear and famine, Timbuktu's walls hummed with poetry and prayer. Merchants carried salt and silk, but the true treasure was carried in memory, in ideas, in verses, in ink pressed into fragile parchment that still survives the winds of time. The people of Mali built their greatness not from conquest, but from curiosity, faith, and the quiet power of thought. And though the empires have faded, their light still flickers across the dunes, a golden reflection of what human wisdom can be when it is cherished more than gold. If this story has given you a new way to see the Middle Ages, a reminder that history's brightest minds often rose where few thought to look, then the echoes of Timbuktu have reached you tonight. Sleep well beneath the same stars that once guided caravans across the Sahara. The sands are calm now, the libraries rest in silence, and the empire of light endures, in memory, in story, and in dreams. Good night.